We all want to enjoy long, happy, successful lives. And here with the secrets to living longer are OBGYN Dr. Streicher and ER physician and host of The Doctors, Dr. Travis Stork. All right, so guys, let me ask you this. You know, I joke about it earlier and everything, but are there really things that we can do that would increase how long we live?
I think there are things you can do to live longer or live shorter. And I always talk about, Steve, we make hundreds of decisions every day that affect our health, how long we live. We don't even think about them. But one of the cool things about this segment is we're going to uncover some of those. Because the secrets aren't necessarily really complex, but there are literally hundreds of them.
Yeah, and we know that there are three things that are going to contribute to how long you actually live. Genetics, and you can't change your genetics, you're stuck with your parents, environment, and then lifestyle. And so even if you have the world's worst family history, you can make up for it. But on the flip side, if grandma and grandpa live to 100, it doesn't mean that you get to eat double bacon cheeseburgers every day, and you're going to live to 100 too. So the choices that you make really do make a difference.
Well, let's go. Before the show, we asked Dr. Streicher and Dr. Travis to talk to these three women and review their lifestyles. Okay, let's start with Miranda, who's in her 20s. Miranda, what's concerning you?
I just moved to the city, so I live with 5 roommates, and we are always out touring the city and doing everything that we can during the day because I'm a bartender at night. And I live and breathe diet soda and coffee. And I could probably do that for like 2 days in a row. So it's really bad. And I drink a lot because, I mean, I'm in this environment from 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. where I'm just serving alcohol, and I'm around secondhand smoke, and we're awake all night and then sleeping all day.
Can I answer Miranda here, because you're young.
Yeah.
And right now, the world is your oyster and nothing bad can happen. But I'm here to tell everyone that in your 20s is when you start to dictate, based on your choices, how long you live. And so a couple of things that you said concern me, and that is I want to address the alcohol, because alcohol is ironically one of those things. If you do it the right way, it can prolong your life potentially. If you're drinking 1 glass, for instance, a day of red wine, studies have shown you may very well live longer. But if you're chronically drinking 3, 4 drinks a day, liver disease, not to mention the things it does to your brain. It can increase your risk for high blood pressure, osteoporosis, cancer. Not only that, after a big night of drinking at the bar, you're much more likely to get sick. One little piece of advice to people: coffee is not bad. Coffee's gotten a bad rap. Coffee, in one study, people who drank 2 cups a day lived a year longer. So coffee is loaded with antioxidants. Just be careful of the sugar. So you're doing some things that are actually good for your health. You just didn't know it.
But then there's this secondhand smoke thing, and I have to weigh in on that because that really concerns me. Secondhand smoke does have an enormous impact on health, especially over the long term. And even when you look at lung cancer, there are over 23,000 deaths worldwide every year from lung cancer from secondhand smoke. So I know you can't change your job and you can't wear a mask at work, but it's something to think about in the long term. And if you're drinking 1.5 cans of diet soda a day, it might not sound like a lot, but at the end of the year, that is 500 cans. That's a whole bathtub full of diet soda.
I just learned a lot today. So 2 cups of coffee is actually good for you, and 8 orgasms a month. My life, I got a nice life, man. Thanks, Miranda. Next, we've got Annie, who's in her 30s. Annie, tell us about your lifestyle.
Steve, I'm a 32-year-old television reporter, wife, and new mom. Each day, I live and die by deadline. But when I come home from work, a lot of times I bring it home with me. I'm looking for ways to relieve stress. So how do I strike that balance between work and life?
So stress is such an interesting tool. Because acute stress, that's why we get up and go to work. That's why we study for exams. But here's the key. If you're always carrying that stress with you when you come home and you're not sleeping well at night, chronic stress and lack of sleep are 2 of the major predictors of how well and how long we live. And I call it a stress-sleep cycle. You're feeling stressed out, you're not sleeping well. Because of your lack of sleep, you feel more stressed out the next day. And if you don't break that cycle now, Annie, while you're in your 30s, it's going to carry on with you. So my recommendation for you is, however you want to do it, it's individual to you. You've got to figure out a way when you get home at the end of the day to relax and take some time for yourself. And throughout the day, the little things you can do. And Steve, you're going to love this one. laughter. Laughter alone can decrease your anxiety. And do you know how often a 3-year-old laughs or a 4-year-old laughs in a day?
How much?
300 times.
Yeah.
The average 30 or 40-year-old may only laugh 3 or 4 times. So you can do something real simple during the day. Just do something to make you laugh. It could be a YouTube video. It could be tuning into Steve, one of my favorite comedians, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And not forgetting to laugh during the day. Taking some time to hug your child. Just the act of hugging can decrease stress levels. And then just make sure when you go to bed, write down your to-dos for tomorrow. Get whatever you can to get that stress out of your head so you can sleep well. Because if you do that and you can start getting a good night's rest, you can actually change everything now in your 30s, and you'll be sleeping better in your 40s than you ever thought possible.
That's right. Because, you know, when we look at stress and we look at the impact that it has on how long you're going to live, there are physical things that can happen as a result of all this stress. So in the short term, you know, gastrointestinal problems, they have headaches, fatigue. It's exhausting to be stressed like this all the time. But then if this continues in the long term, we actually see a lot of problems later in life, like high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes. So you do need to do some things to counteract the stress. And we know a lot about that, because what's more stressful than being in the emergency room and being in the operating room in a job like yours? So you can't change your job. But even just exercising, we know that if you exercise every single day, that you are going to decrease your risk of having a heart attack by 50%. And if you even just walk, anyone can do this, walking 20 minutes a day, studies have shown that that will increase your life expectancy by as much as 7 years. So you can't get rid of the stress, but you can manage it.
When you're doing the news, put some humor in it. Like this way I do a news report. This just in. During the holiday season, a Salvation Army kettle was turned over and robbed by 2 elderly gentlemen. Well, they going to hell. Just, you know. If Annie starts living more stress-free and getting more sleep, she might increase her life by years. Thanks, Annie. Up next. Up next, what you need to know if you over 40 years old. Stay with us. You probably ain't gonna make it. All right, folks, I'm back with Dr. Streicher and Dr. Travis Stork, helping women improve behaviors that could add years to their lives. Now we've got Marisol. Marisol, who's in her 40s. Marisol, tell us what concerns you.
I'm a 41-year-old school teacher, so needless to say, I'm spending most of my day chasing around first graders. I consider myself pretty healthy overall, but as I get older and I'm aging into my 40s, it's harder and harder to keep up with those little ones. I do eat some fast food at times, eat processed food. I'm guilty of it because of my busy work schedule. I try to offset it when I can, go to the gym a few times a week, get outdoors, go for walks. I love the sun, but I'm guilty of doing the tanning bed every now and then just for a little glow. But unfortunately in my family, on my father's side, I have heart disease. On my mother's side, I have diabetes, which I want to prevent at all costs. And one other concern I have as a woman being on birth control is it safe for someone my age?
If your 20s and 30s are setting up your future, your 40s really decide it. And first of all, you're worried about heart disease and diabetes in your family. And we did look at your numbers. Your body mass index is 25.7, which does technically put you in the overweight category, which is such a huge risk factor for both of those diseases. And so when you told me you eat a lot of processed foods or occasionally fast food, the thing I try to tell people is fast food doesn't have to be unhealthy.
Sure.
You know, having a bag of nuts in your purse, which have been shown to potentially increase lifespan, improve cholesterol numbers, lower your risk of diabetes, lower your risk of heart disease, that's fast food. And yet a lot of people will choose the unhealthy versions of fast food. And whenever you can, you know, you're going to school, pack some fruits and veggies. People who eat 5 fruits and veggies may add 3 years to their life or more. It all depends on everything else. But the thing is, planning in advance is so huge when you're a busy professional taking care of all these kids.
Let's talk about your birth control. It's actually good for you to be taking birth control pills in your 40s. If you're not a smoker and if you're otherwise healthy, what we know is that there are a lot of non-contraceptive benefits to hormonal contraception. As an example, it's going to dramatically decrease your risk of getting certain cancers. And you can keep taking those pills until you are 55 if you're not a smoker and your doctor says it's okay. But let's talk about this tanning bed thing. I mean, hello, you know, if the pills are good, the tanning bed is horrible. What we know is that melanoma is the most serious skin cancer. It is the 7th most common cancer in women in this country, and tanning beds dramatically increase your risk. And in fact, people that start tanning beds in their teens and 20s, they have a 75% increase. It's actually against the law in Europe. That's how bad it is. Wow. So it's not too late. Do the self-tanning thing. Do anything else. Do not use the tanning bed, and you will add years to your life.
Thank you.
So let's just review a couple of things we got to do. We got to drink 2 cups of coffee a day. We got to walk at least 20 minutes a day. You need to go somewhere and find yourself 5 pieces of fruit every damn day. And then after all that's done, get them 100 orgasms in, and let's live a lot longer. I want to say a special thanks to Dr. Streicher and my buddy Dr. Travis Stork. Remember, you can see Dr. Travis weekdays on The Doctors. Check your local listings.